My topic today discuss software analysis programs. Software analysis programs have helped government agencies and police authorities with crime throughout the years. Software analysis programs' abilities range from matching DNA and fingerprints to an exact person and analyzing data, surveys, and crime statistics to identify high risk areas. Software analysis programs both detect, prevent, and solve crimes. We use analysis to understand what a problem is. The intent aims to describe the goal the pattern is trying to achieve, and it should also describe the problem that it's trying to solve. Analysis programs develop the abstract analysis models as early as possible. These models capture the main requirements of the concrete problem by providing reusable analysis models with examples as well as a description of its advantages and its limitations. Data analysis programs such as GIS aid in crime by identifying and highlighting suspicious incidents and events that may reoccur further investigation, supporting patterns and trends analysis across multiple jurisdictions, enhancing the implementation of various policing methodologies to reduce overall crime and disorder, integrating traditional and non-traditional law enforcement data to improve overall analysis, educating the public with visual information to clarify crime concerns and enlist community action, providing tools and techniques to capture crime theories and forecast future crime occurrences. GIS helps you to understand events and dynamics in the neighborhood, including persons and events in crime hazards. Identify risk factors, including businesses, buildings, or other locations that may draw crime to the area. Rapidly configure beats and reallocate resources after analyzing crime trends over time. Develop plans for special crime abatement teams to address regional or seasonal hotspots and locations. Capture repeat call for service locations to apply additional resources. GIS helps needs in tactical crime mapping by providing a platform for analyzing crime data to identify crime patterns and theories, linking modus operandi and suspect information to specific crime locations, providing investigative leads by aggregating data from multiple sources, forecasting potential crime locations through spatial tools and techniques, supporting operation plans and clarifying ideal deployment locations, clearing cases by linking suspects to crimes after arrest, continuous active monitoring or high-risk and convicted sex offenders. And also by identifying these patterns and theories, it basically spits out this information on a computer so that police officers and government authorities can plan around this analysis. Within the past decade, DNA is something else that also helped solve crime. The way DNA works is you put DNA from crime scenes into a machine. The machine or the computer analyzes the specimen given or the sample given, and it links it directly to a person. In the past decade, it helps crime. It has helped crime in the sense that, for example, in 1999, New York authorities linked a man through DNA evidence to at least 22 sexual assaults and robberies that had terrorized the city. In 2002, authorities in Pennsylvania and Fort Collins, Colorado, used DNA evidence to link and solve a series of crimes, rapes, and murders perpetrated by the same individual. In 2001, Green River killings, DNA evidence provided a major breakthrough in a series of crimes that had remained unsolved for years despite a large law enforcement task force and $15 million in investigations. DNA generally used to solve crimes in one of two ways. In cases where suspects are identified, that a sample of that person's DNA can be compared to evidence from the crime scene. The results of this comparison may help establish whether the suspect committed the crime or not. In cases where a suspect has not yet been identified, biological evidence from the crime scene can be analyzed and compared to offenders' profiles in DNA database to help identify the perpetrator. DNA crime evidence can also be linked to other crime scenes throughout DNA databases. So it's not limited to just the jurisdiction, but it's cross-referenced so that it's faster than in the olden times when you had to go, on crime scenes and maybe compare to if someone's O negative or B positive. It's just ran through a system, and across anybody who's in that system, it'll match up to if that person is in there. For example, assume that a man was convicted of a sexual crime. At the time of his conviction, he was required to provide a sample of his DNA, and the resulting DNA profile was entered into the DNA database. Several years later, another sexual assault was committed. A DNA assaulted nurse examiner worked with the victim and was able to obtain biological evidence from the rape. The evidence was analyzed, and the resulting profile was run against the DNA database, and a match was made to the man who provided the DNA sample several years prior. He was apprehended, tried, and sentenced for his second crime. In this hypothetical case, he was also prevented from committing other crimes throughout the period of his incarceration due to the fact that DNA helped capture this guy and keep him off the streets. So in that sense, it both prevented crime and solves crime. DNA evidence is generally linked to DNA offender profiles throughout the database. In the late 1980s, the federal government laid the groundwork for a system of national, state, and local DNA databases for the storage and exchange of DNA profiles. The system is called the Combined DNA Index System. Maintains DNA profiles obtained under the federal, state, and local systems in a set of databases that are available in law enforcement agencies across the country for law enforcement purposes. CDIS can compare crime scene evidence to a database of DNA profiles obtained from convicted offenders. CODIS can also link DNA evidence obtained from different crime scenes, thereby identifying serial criminals. In conclusion, throughout time, crime has evolved. And as crime evolves, technology to fighting crime has to also evolve in order for government agencies and police authorities to protect and serve the community. So in my paper, I'll go further into statistics and how each technology or software analysis technology has helped stop or prevent or slow down crime as it evolves along with technology evolving. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoy.